If sports movies were realistic, 99% of them would have to end with some fat guy in his late 40s wandering around the hometown that he never left, still wearing the leather jacket from 30 years ago when they went to state. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Mookie Wilson, and this is my review of Weeds on Fire. In 1984, a bunch of scrappy kids from a bad school form a baseball team in Sha Tin. Considering it's based on a true story, it wouldn't be a spoiler if I tell you that they win the big game. But that's okay because it's not really the focus of the film. Weeds on Fire is much more interested in the players on the team and the process of their development, both on and off the field. Weeds on Fire is a very local, very Hong Kong film. The central theme of persistence in the face of adversity and ridicule is certainly accessible to anybody, no matter where you are or where you're from. So too are the honest and accurate depictions of what people go through during their teenage years, when they're on the brink of adulthood and yet still a long way from it. Weeds on Fire manages to portray the challenges of teenage life without the condescending viewpoint of older people or the blind faith of young ones. I really enjoyed that kind of balanced perspective. I enjoyed a lot about this movie. But for me, what makes the film important and truly memorable are the very particular aspects of it, both historical and cultural. I'm sure some people will say that there's no way Weeds on Fire, which is bookended by scenes filmed at the Occupy protest site in Admiralty, could be subtly political. But the main story happened in 1984, which is the same year that the joint declaration was signed between the UK and China. This event naturally does get addressed in Weeds on Fire. The movie is, at least in part, about the way that people's lives, especially young people, can be affected by political changes. So in that way, the Occupy bookends make a lot of sense. 30 years from now, if somebody makes a movie about young people and it's set in 2014 and it doesn't mention Occupy, how realistic would it be? For me, where Weeds on Fire succeeds most admirably is the way it makes a political statement with a comparative degree of subtlety. And when I say comparatively, I'm talking, of course, about 10 years. Weeds on Fire is much more nuanced in its political perspective. I liked 10 years, but there's no subtlety to be found in that film, not even in the arty-farty second segment, but I digress. Weeds on Fire is also in many ways a much more entertaining film, and not just because it makes its political point with a lot more finesse. Like Happiness, another recent local film, I admire the way that some filmmakers can strike a balance between serious, important topics and commercial accessibility. If it means that more people would watch your movie, I'm all for it. As I've said before, Anne Hoy makes extremely good movies that I admire hugely. But I usually need a dangerous combination of coffee and antidepressants to get through them. Weeds on Fire is, in this way, much easier to watch and to appreciate. The most poignant observation of the film is incredibly easy to miss as a political allegory, but again, if you're familiar with local culture, you can catch it. Weeds on Fire is very much of and for Hong Kong. The film's style, which includes abrupt tonal shifts, its cinematography, and its occasional indulgence in melodrama, very much mark it made in Hong Kong. It's also a movie in which appreciation will increase if you're familiar with, or more importantly, having participated in, local history and or culture. Most of the cast are relatively new to movies, at least to me, and for me it made it much easier to see the actors as characters. But they also deserve credit for turning in solid, believable performances, which are even more remarkable considering they're so young. How young? Well, this actress's English name is Hedwig. To her, that probably means Harry Potter's owl. To me, it means an East German transsexual, but never mind. Now, some of these actors are very recognizable. Liu Kai Chi is his usual dependable self, and by that I mean he is simultaneously convincing and histrionic, but he's carved out a niche for himself and God bless him for it. Weeds on Fire is very much a generic sports movie in which the underdog team goes on to win the big game. It might not always seem realistic, but it's no more unrealistic than 99% of other sports movies. Yes, Weeds on Fire is didactic and melodramatic and emotionally simple and shamelessly manipulative. It's also a really local, very watchable movie that I enjoyed thoroughly. I really like this movie, and it's almost hard to explain why. There's just something about it that feels really comfortable and familiar and nice. It's not a perfect movie, but which one is? It's a lot of fun to watch, and if you don't know anything about Hong Kong, you can still get the story, but the more you do know about it, and if you've lived here long enough, you can really get things out of it. If you want to watch this movie, buy a DVD, buy a Blu-ray, pay for the privilege of watching it online. I don't care, just don't steal it. When this movie gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy. If you enjoyed my review, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.